Hey y'all, how you doing? Happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing all right and everything is working out okay after the train wreck that was last week's video. Here's hoping that this week we're doing all right and everything is going smooth. So far, so good, it appears. All right. Man, yeah, last week was a train wreck, as I said before. And turns out what it was a problem with my internet service provider that was just in this area. I had great download speeds, but my upload speeds, the data just wasn't getting out. And it was all throughout the area that I live in. So now that my service provider has got their act together, maybe we can pick up where we left off last week, answer a few questions about last week's video, then get into this week's video. So, first, let's kind of go down the list here and do a wee bit of a roll call. We got Ron Owensby in the house, Steve Nealon, Harneal Media, webmaster to the stars, and everybody that's anybody. Check him out at harnealmedia.com. He also sponsors my website and does a fantastic job doing it. Troy Pritchard in the house. Clem Gordon joining us. Good morning. Let's see. Kurt Brugel. And who else we got? Roger the Tinker. Looks like we're doing okay so far, Roger. Ayal Peleg checking in from Israel. The Dirty Knobs, North Korea. This technology is not available to y'all yet, but keep an eye on Amazon. Jeff Rozak, Wendell Holland, Bob Heltebridle, poster of all things rude, crude, socially unacceptable, but hilarious. And Kevin Els, Leo Steger, how you doing, Leo? Dave Gatton, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend that is behind the Gatton CNC. Herb Hooper, William Birdseye, Warren Van Newell, I believe that's Newell, Rob Matthews, Chantel Campbell, Jim Hester, boy, Charles Lawrence, Dave Krause, Luis Delgado, Gary Hammett, Jerry Williams. Let me answer Jerry Williams' question first. He says, "Hey Mark, are you going to San Diego this year for the Vectric seminar?" Yes, sir, I am. I will be there. We've got our reservations made, got the rental car all set up. Everything is locked down tight, and yes, I am going to the Vectric user groups meeting in San Diego. I've already had a few people ask. No, I will not be speaking or presenting anything at all. I'm just going to meet the folks at Vectric and put some faces to names, sit down and learn everything that I can while I've got them there. I also have a few suggestions for some of the Vectric software, like an autosave feature, things of that nature. So if anybody has some suggestions they'd like to see in the Vectric software, if you're going to be there, that's the time to ask. If you're not going to be there, shoot me an email through the Contact Us page on the website, marklindsaycnc.com. And I'll bring up as many of them as I can. I have a feeling I won't be very welcome if I show up with like a 10-foot long scroll of things folks want added to the software. But if sure, I'd like to see an autosave feature added to it, at least after you do a save as. That way, if something goofy happens, like power goes out or your battery in your laptop dies before you get a chance to save, it saves at certain intervals. I'd like to see that added. But yes, I will be there, and look forward to meeting you, Jerry. I'll be passing out stickers and what have you during breaks and whatnot. But no, I won't be presenting or anything. I've got nothing to present. I'm just some guy in a shed. So, okay. as far as last week's video is concerned, that was the video on distorting 3D models and 3D objects. And I know it was an Aspire only video, so it wasn't really popular. In fact, the video that I posted this morning about 7 hours ago, maybe 8 hours ago, is already got more views than last week's video in total. So, I'm going to be doing more Aspire videos. I'm going to be doing more 3D videos. So do know that. But that was on distorting a 3D model, and Steve Nealon out there at Harneal Media had asked, when using the Distort tool, I demonstrated with an arc, and he was wondering if you were restricted to an arc. Can you distort to any other shapes? And the simple answer is yes, you can distort to any shape that you can create. I have seen people take text and distort it to, they'll make like a wine goblet kind of a shape, or a ginger jar shape, and distort text to fit within those vectors. Also, when I was distorting between two lines, I used horizontal lines, a top line and a bottom line. You can also use vertical lines left and right. You're not restricted. And a good example of that, I'll put a link in the description of this live Q&A when this video goes live as a standard video. There's a gentleman by the name of Rob Schuster. Some of you know him, some of you don't. He did a video last year on distorting text to fit within that open book 3D model that's in the Vectric clip art. He did a video using a different technique on distorting that text to better fit within that open book, so it looks like the text is flowing with the open pages. And this would be absolutely excellent example of when to use this distorting to a shape other than just an arc or a straight curve or a square or something like that. So, yeah, you can distort to just about any shape you can think of. I'm going to be playing with this a little bit. Maybe I'll do a video on something further down the road. So, hopefully that answers your question, Steve, if you even remembered the question. Kurt, I will be there. Hope to see you too. So it's kind of hard to miss this mug. I might even shave. So Dave Gatton says Rotary Axis videos, they are coming. I've had to do a little bit of rethinking and getting into Aspire that opens up a few other doors, but I will be doing some Rotary Axis videos this year. I've got a couple of projects in mind that I'm working the bugs out of. I mean, it's just me. I think anybody can turn around a round post. I'm trying to get some other stuff going. I know I'm trying to overcomplicate stuff when I haven't even talked about the basics yet. But I figure if I can get a complex project down, a simple project should be a piece of cake. So let's see. Do we have any questions at all on the distorting vectors or distorting 3D models or 3D objects or distorting anything other than my audio? I'm guessing not. I mean, I know that video wasn't super popular, but what can you say? You can't win them all. This week's video on carving open vectors, I had one observant person point out something that I totally missed until the day after the video was posted and scheduled to go live. Somebody commented this morning. I'll just screen share and show you what I'm talking about here. We will go over here and I'll make sure that I'm sharing my screen. And it doesn't appear that I am. There we go. For some reason. Now, this viewer noticed that when I came in and imported the vectors for the Cobra, if you look way down here, there are some more vectors down below the SVG file. I did not notice those. So the first time I tried to align the project into the center of the material, it jumped way up here and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I didn't even notice these vectors here. So when I deselected and then made all of these vectors black, they were still way down below. And I centered these and then just promptly focused on that. I never noticed these vectors. And what they are, we select them, go into move and transform mode and grab them by this Nerf bar up here. When I drag them up, they're actually this front bumper, this Nerf bar, and all the snaps for the tonneau cover on this side. So I'll go in here and kind of place them along the center. And now things make a little bit more sense. All of a sudden the car has a front bumper on it. I have the snaps for this side of the tonneau cover, and this little hood hold down is on this side as well as this side. So just a little something to be warned. I totally missed a ton of vectors. And so if you do decide to do that project, there's a little pointer for you. So let's come on out of that and make sure everything is, holy cow. All right, there we go. It didn't want to come out of screen share mode all of a sudden. All righty, so hopefully you guys get that now. All right, let's see what's going on over here in the chat. Ron Owens B. My mother used to say kissing a man without a beard was like eating porridge without salt. I have no idea what she's talking about, but I don't eat salt in my porridge, but okay. To each their own, I guess. David Ruby has joined us. Michael Bell and a few others have come along. Podman, John Cousins, how you doing, John? Gary Hammett, I believe I've already gone down that list. Were there any questions at all on carving open vectors? I get asked about closing vectors more than any other subject, any other topic. And my whole point in making this video was to show that sometimes you just don't need to close them. Sometimes you do. But if you're just wanting to follow that straight open line, you can just do either a profile toolpath or use the quick engrave function. That quick engrave, you don't have to deal with going through and trying to figure out, do I want to do on or inside or any of that other good stuff. If you just use the quick engrave, you don't have any choice. It's going to cut on the vector, and you can enter whatever depth you want to use. So it just kind of streamlines it. So Warren Van Neal, do you build CBGs? Yes, I do, but I got to say I haven't built one in about 5 years. In fact, I got into CNC to help streamline making like headstocks and cutting sound holes in boxes and 3D carving bridges and things like that. And I got so heavily involved in the CNC the CNC side of the house that I haven't done anything. I've got a bunch of material over here. I've been going to make some rod piezo bridges and do some headstocks and headstock templates, but I just haven't gotten to it. I mean, I tell folks all the time that when you get a CNC, this really is, and if you build it, they will come kind of a thing. Because the minute people see what you can do with a CNC, they will think of 100 things they suddenly need yesterday. And people will keep you busy. And that's why it kind of tickles me when folks talk about how much software costs or how much it costs to get involved in this. You can easily make that money back in just a couple of months. And after that, it's all gravy from there. Now, that doesn't mean go out and buy $20,000 worth of equipment, because it's real easy to get real expensive real fast. But if you just start with like my Gatton CNC, I still think it's the best bang for the buck out there. And for what I have invested in it, yeah, there are stronger machines, there are faster machines, there are more rigid machines. But for the less than $2,000 I have invested in it, it's the baddest CNC on the block, So, Ayal Peleg says, what is CBG? Cigar box guitar. Let me grab one here. I wasn't ready to do this, but it is taking a plain old normal standard cigar box like you see up. Well, you can't really see them. I got a whole room full of cigar boxes here that people send me and that I go down and buy. And I take them and make guitars out of them. And, little 3-string, 4-string, and 6-string guitars. And they sound okay when they're in tune. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a great hobby. That's what got me into CNC, was trying to streamline some of the processes. So, Warren wants to know, do I make my neck on the CNC? No, I do not. I still enjoy hand carving them. I'll do the neck outline on the CNC, but I still like to clamp it down and get out the rasps and the files. Sometimes I'll use the angle grinder with a flap wheel, just depending upon the profile I want. Sometimes I'll use just a 3/4 inch radius roundover bit. And I enjoy carving them by hand. So I have carved a couple of, let's see, I don't have one in here right now. I have carved a couple of bolt-on neck, just the outside profile. But as far as curving the back of the neck, the hardest thing to model in 3D with, unless you get into some of the other software like SolidWorks or Rhino or something like that, probably the hardest thing to model in 3D is the transition from the heel onto the back of the neck and from the back of the neck into the headstock. That kind of I prefer to do that by hand, just simply because I can tweak it to exactly the way I like it and the way it feels on the back of my hand. You can get things like dragon rasps. There are Japanese rasps that look like a bunch of hacksaw blades bent and laminated together, and they'll take off a lot of material real quick. But I just like doing that work by hand. So, let's see. Let's see. Jim Hester. I've been looking for a sharp-pointed bit under 60 degrees and hadn't found anything. You're using a CMT 30, and I've only found a 35 online. Do you know a source for pointed bits with no flats? Jim, I'll put a link to a eBay source down in the description of this video. And I found, let's see, the store name is Drill Man. It's actually, I want to say Carbide, something Carbide. I don't remember. Creative Carbide or Custom Carbide or something like that. But they have all kinds of 30-degree V-bits, 15-degree V-bits, quarter-inch shank, eighth-inch shank, what have you. The only CMT bits that I use, I have a 60-degree laser point CMT, which is a very good 60-degree V-bit, and I have a 90-degree V-bit from them also. I haven't bought any... I don't think I've bought anything less than a 30 degree. I've got a few 30 degree V-bits, but I have found not flat, excuse me. I have found needle pointed bits all the way up into 15 degree online, just looking for them. I'll try to put some sources down in the description to this video. So let me write that down real quick so I'll remember. V-bits. All right. So, I hope that answers your question. Let's see. NMCB 14, KIA WIA 2017, MOUSE, no insult intended. Hello, Mark. I'm a Navy CB, and we just acquired a Piranha CNC with VCarve Pro. Cool. I learned how to use it watching your videos. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Well, thank you. I don't know how much knowledge I'm sharing. I'm just trying to help folks avoid the mistakes I've made and still continue to make, but that's all part of the learning process. My father was a CB, MCB 3, as a matter of fact. Yes, MCB 3. He was stationed at Adak, Alaska, and in Guam, and whatever. Frank currently deployed to Djibouti. Holy cow. Okay, let's see. I don't see any other questions here. Stefan Lassard. Hello, Mark. I took this moment to thank you to all video you make for us. I'm a beginner and learned something on every video. I'm from Quebec City, Canada. Well, welcome aboard. Interesting little fact about Quebec City. I'm full of useless information like this. Ask anybody. Quebec City is the only city in North America that is a walled city. The old town of Quebec City has a fortified defense wall around it, and it's the only walled city in North America. You didn't want to know that. That's okay, fine. So, let's see. Are there any other questions on today's video, last week's video, anything like that? Dave Clemens, welcome aboard, man. Javi's Woodshop, thanks for checking in, Javi. You need to get back to working on those Javi boxes. And if y'all haven't checked out Javi's new CNC controller boxes that he's putting together, you might want to think about it if you're just getting into this and don't like electronics, much like myself. javiswoodshop.com. I'll link him in the description box below after this. See, write him down. Javi. The guy's doing all of the footwork for you, putting everything together with good drivers and just the whole kit. So let's see. Oh, Jonathan W., the big man himself. Oh, man. I tell you what, if you guys are into cars, hot rods, car rescues, first starts, all things metal, be it rusty, crusty, dusty, or even brand new and shiny, like a certain El Camino, check out Jonathan W.'s channel. He's got you covered. Wants to know here, going to send you a picture of something on Facebook. Can you carve something with a vertical wall that is tapered to release the part from a mold? I can certainly take a look at it, Jonathan. It's very doable. I'm more than happy to take a look at it. Those of you who have been hanging around my channel for a while and have scrolled back through my list of videos and you see that Wilton bullet vise series that I posted, restoring the Wilton bullet vise, Jonathan W. is the man I got that from. I won a contest. And I tell you, that vise works sweet, Jonathan. I use it a lot, and it still looks nice and pretty. But yeah, I'll certainly look at that, take a look at that picture and make sure that it's something I can do. For sure. So, let's see. Is there any other questions out here? Thank you very much, Robert. I really do appreciate it, Mr. Robert Rapine. I do appreciate it. Any other questions on today's video, last week's video? We're getting close to the bottom of the hour. I like to try to keep these under a half hour. As if not, we'll go ahead and we'll consider this one a success. Not like that train wreck last week. Let's see. Kurt Brugel says this morning's video was great. What if a smaller bit like a 1/8 ball nose to do a trace engraving for finer lines? I'm very new to this, so a noob question probably. Hey, they're all noob questions, you know. Folks with 10, 20, 30 years of experience who have never done a certain thing before are noob to that certain thing, so there's no such thing as a bad question. You probably could. Let's see. I don't know how that would look. About the best I could say would be go ahead and try it and preview it, and if you don't like how it looks, change the bit. You know, I find that with, depending upon the size of the project, you have to remember the scale. Depending upon the size of the project, a 1/8, a 1/8 ball nose might be the perfect bit. It might be way too big. It might be way too small. So about all I can say is try it. And if it turns out the way you want it to, then it's right. If it doesn't, if you think it's too big or it just makes a big mess, like in the Cobra video today, that joint where you had the two lines on the window frames coming down on what would be the driver's side on the far side, and then you had that joint where the hood meets all of the windshield frame and everything. You have all those lines coming together. A big bit can kind of make a jumbled mess that looks like the center of a spider web that just really looks rotten. So, but then again, if you're carving this on an 8x4 sheet of plywood and it's going to hang 20 feet off the ground, that doesn't really matter. So just keep the scale of the project in mind and try it. And if you don't like it, change it until you find something you do like. So, Bob Heltebridle, any project videos in the works? Yes, I've got a couple of project videos in the works. I ran across something this morning also that is going to... I hesitate to even mention it now because the videos aren't going to come out until next year, because I'm going to be using them as Christmas gifts next year. So let's see. You had a question above, Kurt. Did I answer that about the 1/8 inch ball nose? Do the trace for finer lines? Hopefully that was the question you were talking about, unless there was another one. Yeah, I don't see. Okay. Hopefully that was the one. Talking about the 1/8 inch ball nose to do the trace engraving for finer lines. Sometimes 1/8 of an inch just isn't small enough. I mean, and that's the beauty of a V-bit. It will go all the way down to where it's just making a scratch. You know, and a scratch that can just be sanded away really easily. I know that from personal experience. So, but yes, Bob, I do have some project videos coming up. One project has been on hold for about, oh boy, it's been on hold for about a month now, simply because I haven't had weather. I've got to get outside and get it painted and then do the final finishing on it here, because I'm the kind of person that I will not post a project video until I have the project finished. That way, if I goof something up, I don't leave people hanging. I've seen too many video series out there where somebody designs a project, gets started on the construction, and then you never see any more from them because the project got messed up, but they were already committed by posting 2 videos out of 3. And I'm not going to do that. So I've got one project in the works right now. I'm waiting on weather so I can paint it. Then I've got 2 other projects that I'm going to be doing this year for sure. And the big project this year is I'm building a new shop shed. I'm moving from, hopefully, moving from 8 by 12 garden shed into a 12 by 16, and which will give me a lot more room. Maybe I can get my table saw out of storage, then go from there. So, all right, if that is it, if there are no more questions on today's video, last week's video, or any other video, I'm going to go ahead and call this good and say thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the video this morning. Thank you for your questions, your answers, your comments, the thumbs up, the thumbs down, the sideways, everything. Hey, good morning, Matt. You're just in time to miss me. But thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And let's get outside and make something cool. Y'all enjoy your Sunday. Thanks very much, and have a good one.